Alright, in this tutorial we're going to take a look at actually being able to shoot our enemy. The first thing I want to do is give my enemy a name. Okay, so the way you do that is with tags inside of Unity. So I'm going to change untagged to add tag, and under element 0 I'm just going to type in the word enemy and hit enter. Alright, and then if I click back on my enemy prefab, if I take this down you'll see that my last option is enemy. Alright, so the script that I want to adjust is my bullet script. So what I'm going to do is, there's another method called onTriggerEnter. So you can see here when I click on this curly brace, it shows me the opening one. I'm going to go ahead and hit enter after that. I'm going to say void onTriggerEnter, open close parentheses, open curly brace, close curly brace. Let's go ahead and maximize this a little bit. So inside of here, I have to create a variable that stores whatever enters this trigger method. So I'm going to say collider, that's an actual data type that's given by Unity, other object, that's a variable I created. So what we're saying here is this other object variable, I can use this to find out what I've collided with. So for example, if I say if, open curly brace, close curly brace, my other object dot game object dot tag is the same as, you probably guessed it, enemy, do something. Well, I'm going to reuse that destroy function that we used earlier, and I'm going to say destroy the other object dot game object. Now, why is it important that I wrote other object here, or the object that is recording the collision? The reason is, if I just do destroy game object, anytime an object collides with my bullet will get deleted. And so we do kind of want that to happen, but for now, what's going on is that, and we could throw another destroy object in there and just do destroy game object here. And now it'll destroy the other object and the game object when they collide. So let's say Control S, and I'm going to shrink this and press play. Hopefully there's no errors. And you can see that nothing happened. Why didn't anything happen? Right? Why am I getting this cool sort of effect? The reason is you have to actually mark your enemy as a trigger. So I press play here, and I believe that, yeah, there we go. So you can see. Okay, so now we have one enemy that dies. It's a pretty boring game. I want to make it where every time an enemy dies, another one is spawned. Or if I miss an enemy, it spawns another one on top. So let's go ahead and hit Control S to save all of this. Alright, so let's take a look at adding to our kill score every time our bullet hits. So let's go back to our ship, and we want to make our kill score static, which means we'll be able to access it from any script. When you get into higher level programming, you won't use static. You'll do something where you're creating classes or creating new members of this class, the ship class. That's a little too advanced for now, and we'll get into that later. For right now, just understand that when we do public static, we're able to access this kill score from any script. So let's take a look at how we do that. So every time I collide, so every time the other object is hit with something called enemy, I'm going to type in ship dot, and you can see because we made it static, it allows us to access kill score from here, equals ship dot kill score plus equals, or we'll just do equals 100 semicolon. Let's hit Control S and see how that goes. Boom, you can see that we got 100 in our score. So what happened? Well, we're actually accessing the ship.killScore variable. Do you remember that from here? Which is equal to 0. And down here in our GUI label, we're making kill score equal to whatever it is. So right now it's equal to 0, and every time we shoot a new ship, we add 100 to it. Alright, so the next thing I want to do is, let's go back to our bullet script. I want to make it so every time I collide with my ship object, it doesn't destroy any longer. I want it to shift its position randomly to up top here. I want it to move back up, which it already does. And then I want it to go left and right. So let's go ahead and delete, let's leave this line of code here because I want the bullet to, obviously not stay forever. And let's get rid of this guy where it says other object. And let's just add a comment here. And let's just say moves ship up and randomly while hit. All right, so what can we do? Well, I can make a vector 3, right? Temp, and I'll make that equal to the current position. So transform, or I'm sorry, we have to do other object because we're accessing the other object. Dot transform dot position. So this temp is just storing the x, y, and z of whatever object that we hit, right? And in this particular case, it's enemy. So if you have multiple enemies, you would just do if other object dot tag enemy 1, 2, 3, and then you would just make a bunch of different enemies. Then I'm going to do the same thing as before. I want to set, what did I set it at last time for enemy? Temp point y 6.5. Actually, let's just copy all of this. And then once I get over here, you can pause it. I want to do temp.y 6.5f. Now remember, temp.y, we don't have to do other object temp.y because we have other objects position here. But we have to set the other object's position. Other object.transform.position equals temp. Okay, so let's copy this code. So actually, let me just save that so you can see that it shifts it back up again anytime a bullet hits it. I'm going to press play. So if I get out of the way here, you'll see on its own it resets to the top, and then if I shoot it, it resets back to the top. Okay, this is kind of a boring game because I always know where my enemy is coming from. So I'm going to go ahead and, let's see, where's that at? There we go. I'm going to go ahead and say moves ship left, hit Control V, and I'm going to change this temp here to X. And I'm going to make temp.xx equal to random range dot range. And what's nice about random range is it takes in two values. So how far do you want on the x-axis from left to right? So min and max. So min being, if we go all the way to the left here, you could see, actually let's bring this down so I could see it better. My minimum value is negative 8.2, and my probably positive value is about 8.2. Yeah, so min and max, minus 8.2, 8.2. Save that off, and let's try that out. And looks like I forgot the F. So anytime you see where it says double float, blah, 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 I forgot my F's here. So F, save that. Hopefully I got rid of my error. There we go. Let's press play here. So I got 100. Doesn't seem to be going, doesn't seem to be working. Let's see. Did I not save it? Minus 8.2, 8.2F. Let's try that again. Oh, I know why. We never set to temp X here. There we go. Alright, so let me expand that code a little bit so you can see that. You can pause the screen and kind of, so you can handwrite it or whatever. Okay, so the last thing I want to do to finish up this tutorial, I'm going to make this one a little bit longer, is I want to decrease my ship lives every time the ship crashes into me. So you can see here's 3. It's not really doing anything. Um, so in bullet script, I'm going to copy this entire onTriggerEnter method here. So if you're not sure where it begins and ends, if you click here, you'll see from this curly brace to here is the entire onTriggerEnter method. So I'm going to copy that. I'm going to go into ship, and after this onGUI, I'm going to do this. So if I collide with another object that's the enemy, instead of ship kill score going up, you can see here we have ship lives. A quick way to do to subtract 1 from ship lives is minus minus, and that decrements it by 1. It's the same thing as writing ship lives equals ship lives minus 1. Okay? And you'll see if I crash in with the enemy, it'll bring my ship lives down, and it'll really just move the position randomly again. So let's go ahead and hit Control S, and let's bring this down and take a look at what happens when I get crashed into. And let's see if we have to turn on isTrigger on our ship, because now that we have an onTriggerEnter here. Okay, and the other thing we want to do is remove this destroy game object here. That way when we crash into the enemy ship, it doesn't destroy our ship like it does with the bullet. So let me go ahead and save this. Let's jump back in the scene. Another thing is triggers only work, so let's turn on trigger for our ship, but they only work if the object that you're checking has a rigid body on it. That's the only way that triggers work. So let's go to rigid body here. Let's make sure gravity is off, and let's press play. See if it takes ship lives. Yep, there we go. Ship lives are down to 2. 0. Right? Sounds good. And we have the makings of a game here, right? But the problem is we don't have a win-lose screen. So let's take a look at doing a really quick lose screen. So if it collides in with us, our ship lives go down. So let's do another if statement inside of this trigger. Well, I guess we could just do it on update, so we're always checking, right? So we can say if open close curly braces ship lives are less than or equal to 0, application dot load level open close parentheses semicolon end game. Alright, let's space that out. I'm going to highlight this, copy, Control C that, and hit Control S. Alright, so I'm going to shrink this, and I'm going to do File, Save Scene. I'm going to do File, New Scene here. And then I'm going to Game Object, Create Other, Text. We'll do 3D text. Let's kind of line it up in the middle. And we put Game Over. And let's go ahead and hit Control S here, and I'm going to name this End Game and go into Scenes, hit Save. Now let's go to File, let's go to File Build Settings here. So File, Build Settings. We're going to add current, and then we want to go back to our Scenes folder, open up Level 1. We want to add this. Alright, let's go ahead and hit Control S and press play. So 3, 2, 1, and then let's see if our guy gets to 0. Doesn't seem like if ship lives is less than or equal to 0. Let's take a look at that code. Oh, you know what? We're inside of this if statement, so that's a classic mistake. So what that means is that code only gets activated if we press spacebar. So let's try that again where it's in its own if statement. Let's hit Control S. Let's press play again. Let's try that one more time. So we're at 3, 2, 1. and game over. So what I would suggest that you do is make a main menu screen. Try to look up buttons on the internet and see if you can get that working.